So today I'm at Stanwick Lake Fisheries. It's a nice complex of lakes here. I've decided to drop onto Elson's lake, which is more of their sort of specimen carp lake. You know, it's quite a challenging pit, but it offers lots of nice different styles of fishing, and that was the main reason why I wanted to come here, as well as it's got a lovely stock of carp, a couple of real nice old big carp as well. You know, there's a few other lakes on site here as well, offering different, well, sort of catering for different angling abilities. It's really hot today, so what I'm going to do now is just take the opportunity to have a good look around the lake. You know, it offers some really fantastic edge fishing, and hopefully we might be able to get a few going off the surface as well. But for now, as I said, I'm going to have a good look round, scope out the margins, maybe drop in some bait in a few places and take it from there. Right, I'm just stood in this very small overgrown swim. You can actually stalk from this swim. So I've just crept in here to see if there's anything knocking about, but haven't seen any signs of carp at the moment, but it is only early in the morning still. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a couple of handfuls of pellet in and come back and check it, you know, in an hour or two. Keep checking the spot throughout the day, and if I feel like there's a chance to be had, then I'm going to put a rod in here, because I know that they do like to get in here and they do get caught out of here. Trouble is, it is only shallow, so might get a little bit of a problem with the bird life, but if I can keep topping up the spot, then I'm sure there'll be a chance to be had maybe at some point through the session. I'll come and check that later. Oh, the carp are coming right into this bank. That's a really good sign that there's a few fish about, because I sort of had it in my mind this is probably where I wanted to start the session. Just been able to lower a rod down on the side of this bush here. I think given that it's going to be getting up to 27 degrees today, probably going to be the best chance of a bite off the bottom, and then perhaps have a go with the floaters a bit later on this evening as it cools down a bit. But yeah, it's looking promising. Just hopefully they're up for a feed. Prepped a couple of spots, so think about getting some kit out now and setting up a rod or two. Oh, there's a carp right over the spot now, just under the surface. Oh, that was all right, wasn't it? Right, that's the first rod in position. Things are looking quite good. Have seen a few fish milling about, a couple going over the spot. Obviously those carp are just underneath the surface. I'm guessing this spot where I've just dropped this lead is probably around 5 or 6 foot. But yeah, I've just literally dropped this one in. I've got a 5 ounce inline lead on. That will drop off if I do connect with a carp. I've got a short rig, a short supple rig with a straight bottom bait. I've got 2 sort of half baits on the hair just to match the freebies that I've put down there. Yeah, there's quite a bit of willow fluff in this margin, so I've just slid down a back lead just to keep that braid pinned down. You know, I don't want to take any chances, and I don't want to spook any fish because the line's up out of the water. So hopefully things are set nicely, and it won't take too long to get the first one. Right under that bush. Well, that didn't take long. Literally, the rod had been out 10-15 minutes. We are attached to an Elson's carp. I have seen it. It's not a particularly big one, but I'd like to get him in to get off the mark. I don't think there's too much danger under there. I certainly didn't want him going in any deeper. quite lively, but hopefully we can land him in a second. Quite a nice little scaly one though, by the looks of it. Just goes to show you sometimes you just need one rod in the right spot. He's in. We got him. That'll do for starters. Can only get bigger now. Okay, so this is the little guy that I caught earlier on, placing that one rod out next to that bush. It's where I'd seen a few carp this morning, milling about. I'd put a little bit of bait down there beforehand, just a couple of handfuls, then lowered the rod in about an hour later, and it only took 15 minutes for the rod to go. He's only a small one, but hopefully he's going to be the start of hopefully a couple more. But yeah, he's a lovely little carp, and more than happy to get off the mark with this one. So I'm going to get him back, and hopefully the next one will be a little bit bigger. Right, so I've just moved into this swim. After a little bit of thought, I've decided to move just round the corner from where I stalked that fish a few hours ago. The reason being, you know, there's a few anglers already up in the main body of the water. There's no one down this arm, if you like. You know, we're sort of at the end of the lake here. You know, it comes down into a fairly narrow bay, and there are quite a few. There's a lot of carp down here. You know, they've been patrolling up and down this far margin, which is a non-fishing bank. So I think the plan is to try and find a couple of spots, you know, along that far margin. It is quite weedy down this end. The Canadian weed's getting up quite high, but you know, I'll be close to that other margin spot where I caught that fish from, so I can keep an eye on that and keep trickling a bit of bait. I can go and drop a rod on that, you know, as and when I think it's worth a go. Yeah, I have actually just put out a few pouchfuls of mixers, and the odd carp has come up for them, but as you can see, the seagulls are bombing down on the bait as well. See if we can get them going on the surface and try and nick one off the top, because I've not caught a carp off the top for years, and yeah, I'd like to give it a go. They certainly seem up for it. Okay, you can see my hook bait nicely. Come on, carps. Do you reckon the drone's putting them off? It's just typical that they've stopped. It's like they have a little go, then they just drift off again. Oh yeah, they're coming. There's a lot of drift, isn't there? Yeah, there's nothing about it, is there? Oh, go on. Oh, he's right next to it. Mate, they weren't overly confidently taking the mixers either. So frustrating. Is there anything near me? I'll give it a little go with this. I might change the hook bait. Oh, mate, there's quite a few carp in close. Shall I wind it in a bit? Was that two at one? Maybe the hook's too big. Probably going to wipe a seagull out here. Well, it's been a very busy and hot day today. It's about 9 o'clock in the evening now. Got two rods finally settled. I was quite surprised to get that bite so early on today, you know, arriving sort of mid-morning and having that take sort of midday. So I'm pleased to be off the mark, but I have moved into this swim now. I gave it a couple more hours in that swim, but seemed to maybe have spooked them on a little bit, you know, after catching that small one off that close-in spot. So as I come in here, there were fish, you know, clearly sort of mooching around on the surface, so I did put a few mixers out, and there were a couple coming up and taking, so I did have a few close opportunities sort of coming up underneath the hook bait. Didn't quite go for it, but yeah, after a few attempts sort of gave up with that. Started to have a lead about. It's quite weedy in here. There's quite a lot of high Canadian pondweed down this end of the lake, so it took quite a while, to be honest, to find spots, but I'm happy with the two spots that I have found. I've got one sort of 3/4 of the way over, nice little hole in the weed, and I've got one sort of a little bit further past that, slightly more left onto the far margin. Put a nice bit of bait over each rod, got things nice and accurate. So hopefully there'll be a chance of a carp in the morning. And if not, I'm sure I'll be on my toes first thing in the morning, looking for an opportunity elsewhere. Right, I'm just checking on the spot. This is the spot where I caught that little one yesterday. And I have been keeping the bait going in, not too much, just a handful. A little bit yesterday evening before dark. And I've come round, it's sort of mid-morning now, sort of probably giving it 3 more handfuls this morning through different periods. And I have seen a few carp ghosting through over the area. Have actually just seen typically another small one, but it looks clear at the moment, so I have got a rod ready to go, so I'm going to probably take the opportunity now to lower it in. Hopefully after a little bit of prep this morning we should get another quick bite. Oh, that was lovely, mate. Lovely, lovely drop. Right, well, I've given it a couple of hours back on this margin spot, and unfortunately nothing has happened. Doesn't seem to be as many fish about now as what there were yesterday. Weather's changed, it's dramatically cooler today. Yesterday we got up to sort of 28 degrees. It's now probably only 20, 21 degrees, and the wind is hacking up that other end. There's a few options up there, so everything's packed down. I'm gonna have a good look round the lake and see if I can find an opportunity elsewhere and set up somewhere for this evening, and hopefully this last night will be a successful one and there'll be a carp or maybe 2 to be had before we go home tomorrow morning. Certainly not stuck though. There's a couple of fish. Right, so I've just been for a good look round the lake. Well, before doing so, I've just secured a swim just up the left here. Got up quite early this morning, just before first light, and I had a bit of a wander up the bank, and the only place where I'd seen feeding fish was in front of this swim up the left here, and it was real concentrated, but they were sheeting up for a good hour or so. Unfortunately, it has got busy along this bank now, but I've been for a good scout about and I can't locate carp anywhere else other than seeing one right down the end here, and it was one of the big ones. I think it's drifted out from that corner now, but it was on its own. Just where I'm stood now is where I first put a couple of handfuls of bait on the first day, and I have trickled a bit more in throughout the session, and I have seen carp in and out of here today, the odd one coming through. So I think the best thing to do now for a quick bite, hopefully, is to probably get a rod in here and then think about getting a couple of rods out in this swim up the left for the last night. And hopefully we can pull it out of the bag with a nice Elson's carp, because there's some real nice old ones in here and I'd love to get amongst 1 or 2 of them. But for now, I'm gonna go and get one rod and put it in this margin. Oh, there's a carp, there's carp. He's feeding carp. He went down there. I'm gonna put the bait here.
He was wandering up this way.
My God. Common, £20 common. That was insane.